Willie D Live.
What's up, family? The Nolan Wells case continues to generate national attention as new evidence, interviews, and legal developments emerge. Joining me is attorney Dennis Spurling to break down the legal issues and what they could mean for the investigation going forward. That a good man is Dennis Spurling.
What's
Welcome back
up,
to the
Willie
show.
D?
Hey
Hey,
man,
man, it's an
nice.
honor and a pleasure to be here. Let me tell you, and I'm gonna say this off top, man. You have your thumb on the heartbeat of the people. You speak for the masses, and I think that you have done a dynamic job at voicing how the masses of the people feel. Rightly so. Now, I am on the other end, I'm the establishment, but the great thing about our conversations is that I can relate to you and you can relate to me. And that's why our conversations are so meaningful. And I look forward to another spirited conversation, brother. I look forward to the angry messages in the chat, in the chat room.
And I appreciate you saying that, man, because, it as easy as some people might think it is, it ain't that easy when you're speaking on a case of this magnitude. It's a lot at risk right now. It's a lot on the table right now, and it's a tug of war going on. I do believe between good and evil. Some people say, oh, it's just one side against the other. But in any event, we're going to get down to the nitty-gritty. We got the autopsy that came out today. They was not allowed to, or they would not share the results with us. They said not before it's presented to a grand jury. Did you get a chance to see the interview that Nolan Wells' parents did on Don Lemon's show today?
I have not seen the interview specifically, but I'm pretty aware of the facts thus far, what's available to the public. Now, the thing is, I'm going to be mindful of the fact that, there's a lot of competing sides in this. We have the Nolan Wells family, and then we have these other young people, and all of these people have family members. And I understand we're talking about the passing, the untimely passing of a young man, and how he left this world. We don't know. And I'm gonna stand on that. We don't know, but here's what I do know: the 18-year-old young man, he was fresh out of high school. And he came up missing. He was last seen by his parents on July 3rd, 2026. He cooked dinner for his mom. He kissed his mama, and he went to go hang out with his friends. And that was the last time she saw him. So I'm very sensitive to that. As you know, I have 3 sons, 2 of which are Nolan Wells' age. That said, at this point, a lot of what we're talking about is speculation, and I want to be mindful of that because there are other young people, his friends, many of whom may be totally innocent. I don't know anything enough about this case, but I didn't hear the interview. But brother, if you want to fill me in, I'll tell you what I know and what I don't know and what I think legal ramifications that has.
Well, it was not a lengthy interview, but basically the mother was just saying that they talked about how they're being harassed, and in a nutshell, both mother and father was just saying that, hey, we just want justice. We want justice now. However whatever that looks like, we want justice. We want the truth. But the mother did say something telling. She said, because of how things went prior to the autopsy being completed, as far as the inconsistencies in the stories, that she don't know if she'll trust the results of the autopsy.
Yeah. I understand. Okay, so let's do this, Willie. Let's establish the facts that we do know. Okay, because I want to lay that premise first because I think it's important. And as I said, you are the voice of the people, and I think this platform that you have is the best place to discuss what we do know. Friday, July 3rd, 2026, Nolan Wells said goodbye to his mama. He spent the night at a friend's house at approximately 9:56 a.m. In a group of his friends went and departed. And this is July 4th, Saturday, July 4th, 9:56 in the morning. They departed by private boat from Ocean Springs uh, to Horn Island, and they arrived there at approximately 11:14 a.m. Okay, and the Horn Island is part of the Gulf Island National Shore. It's accessible only by boat. That's important. Let's remember that. It's accessible only by boat. All right. Now, Nolan and a group of his friends, they're not having released a list of that, but at about 3 p.m., they last confirmed what he was seen. Okay. This is confirmed by both the Jackson County Sheriff's Office and what his friends said. Now, Nolan, this is what was said. He said that they acknowledged that he did not go back with them. He wanted to remain on the island. Okay. Now, the facts are disputed. Okay. Law enforcement has said that his friends told the investigators Nolan chose to remain on the island because he reportedly wanted to see a young woman that he intended to obtain a ride later. Now, Nolan's parents, they questioned that explanation. They didn't believe it. By 4 o'clock, while the group was departing from the boat, there was a phone call placed to what is called sea tow. It's just like the equivalent of a tow truck for boats, okay? And they were saying they were taking on water. There was a bilge pump issue. At about 4:31 p.m., GPS data shows that the boat left Horn Island. So whatever issue was, about 30 minutes later, they got it resolved. At about 6:01 p.m., the data says that the boat returned to the dock. So we're looking at, what is that, an hour and a half time period, okay? And then the boat was later removed that evening. I think that's the issue that people have. Why are they removing the boat? I don't know, okay? Now, here it is. They last saw Nolan at 3 p.m. By 11 p.m., he was reported missing, according to his mother. And you know, at about 11:07, Warren called. One of the young men called her at about 11:07, and she checked his location. And eventually, law enforcement got involved. They called Coast Guard, and about 11 p.m., they said they didn't need any Coast Guard assistance at the time. I don't know. There's a lot of speculation. Now, here's the thing. Here's where it gets crucial. On Sunday, right, we're looking at approximately 24 hours later, Sunday, July 5th, 2026, you had all these agencies involved: Jackson County Sheriff's, U.S. Coast Guard, Mississippi Department of Marine Resources, and of course the United Cajun Navy, who we all remember from Hurricane Katrina, and some of his football friends and his football coach got involved. It was on July 6th that Nolan's body was found in the water near the northwestern tip of Horn Island. Okay. Now, they were able to identify that it was him because of DNA and dental records. And there was some issue as to who found the body, whether he had his shirt on or not. Since that time period, they've had 2 autopsies, one conducted by the Mississippi State Medical Examiner, another one by Dr. Roger Mitchell in DC, sponsored by his attorney at the request of his family. That's what we know right now. Okay, that's it. That's what we know. Now, we can go into some detail about the autopsy. There was no fractures found. Okay, there was no, listen to me carefully, there was no significant deep tissue injuries. However, there's some issues as to this 8 to 12 inch red spot. And I don't want to use the medical terms, but this red mark on his neck, 8 to 12 inches, that a lot of people are making a big deal out of it. But we have no confessions. All right. As of today, we have no confessions. The Jackson County District Attorney has not released the report. We don't have anything from the grand jury. I don't know if it's been presented yet, but we do know that Ben Crump has been engaged by the family, and they have sent out what are called spoilage letters to maintain evidence. Now, that means a lot to me. As you know, my profession is personal injury lawyer. And when I read the tea leaves, if I want to figure out what's going on in the situation, I'm going to try to figure out what lawyers are involved. If they hire a criminal defense lawyer, that's one thing. If you hire a personal injury lawyer, which Ben Crump is, like myself, I'm reading Ben Crump. See, nobody spends $6,000 to $30,000 having a private autopsy done, having a body shipped from Mississippi to DC, which is about $60,000, anywhere from $6,000 to $10,000. Nobody pays a private doctor to perform an autopsy for free. That's $10,000 to $15,000. On top of that, we looking at funeral expenses. So my question is, what is it that these lawyers see that the public doesn't see? I can speculate on that. I'll do that if you want me to. But those are the facts that we have right now. Those are the known facts that we have right now, Willie D. Now, the elephant in the room is this is Mississippi, right? This is Mississippi, right? I understand why the mother wouldn't trust Mississippi. I get it. Mississippi. When we think of Mississippi, we think of what? Emmett Till. You can name them right along with me. We think of Medgar Evers. We think of Reverend George Lee, Lamar Smith. We think of James Chaney, Andrew Goodman, Michael Scrivener, those 1964 freedom. I get it, but that's what we know now, Willie D. That's what we know, and I hope. I'm just saying that's what we know.
At what point does inconsistent witness testimony become legally significant?
Well, here's the thing. I would assume if the FBI is involved in this situation, if you purposely give inconsistent or erroneous testimony to a law enforcement agent, that can lead to a charge. We've seen that happen. Anybody who watches law enforcement shows, you purposely mislead an official investigation involving the FBI, that's a charge. So that's where it would come into play. And if you want to talk specifically about what you're talking about, I'm assuming we're talking about some of the things that young people are saying. You feel free to fill me in on that. Okay.
Yes.
For example,
well, for example, the Warren dude said that he had, what did he say? He said at one point that Nolan went off to be with a girl, and then it was said that the girl said no, he went to be with his friends, to rejoin his friends. You got the phone call. I want to ask you, what about that phone call? Did you have you had a chance to actually listen to that phone call before the CETO what I'm trying to say, dispatcher? Did you have a chance to listen to the phone call before the CETO dispatcher got on the phone?
Are you talking about the phone?
The enhanced audio.
I listened to it, Willie D. I listened to it, and this is what I heard it say. I don't know as to the veracity or the truthfulness of what's said, but what it sounded like to me, what they were saying is that, did you kill him? And those sort of statements like that. Is that the same video? That's the same.
Yes, that's
okay. So here's the thing: we have to be careful with that, because in the age of AI, in the age of oftentimes, and there's some specialists that I've talked to before, oftentimes you need to authenticate photographs, video recordings, etc. And we need to know the source of that, because we want to make sure that this is not somebody using this for a publicity stunt, okay, or trying to get likes and so on and so forth. So we don't want to, I'm not going to put my reputation out there on something I haven't validated myself, because this is how people get sued for defamation. And you mentioned Warren, and Warren's daddy said he's going to start dropping lawsuits on people because they said some disparaging things about this young man, his son. And I'm gonna
he can drop a lawsuit, but that's why you got this little thing called counter lawsuits. So if he starts trying to if he's talking about trying to sue everybody who's talking about the case, and if his son is involved in the case at all, then people have a right to talk about his son. Now they don't have a right to defame him, but if they're speaking about facts about his son, they have a right to speak about the facts. So if he called himself going to try to scare people into being quiet, he got another thing coming, because it's thousands of people who are talking about this case. It's thousands of content creators who are talking about this case. And the media, the mass media, is talking about it.
Yeah. I mean, you're right. You're right about that. But typically, I think what he's going to be looking for is someone with, I mean, look, we could speculate on that, but I remember there was a case some years back. It was a young man named Nicholas Sandman, and he was at a March for Life in D.C. And there was a Native American man, I think his name was Nathan Phillips. Some kind of way, the media got hold of him and said that he's a racist because they picked some small snippet of word he said. And apparently it wasn't even directed at the Native American, but what ended up happening was they pegged this young man as a racist because they were absolutely convinced based on what they heard. And so, they end up selling the case. He ended up suing them for millions of dollars. And these are some major networks. I believe ABC, MSNBC, and some other printed articles were involved. And, they end up selling the case out of court. But my whole point is this: we don't really know everything that's happening right now. And when I listen to that videotape, because it has not been validated, because it has not been authenticated, I'm not willing to, put my reputation on the line to stand behind. Now, as far as with the allegations, if we are to take true what is said in that video, it is definitely damaging. It is definitely, I mean, I don't know what's in there to be true, Willie D. I'm not saying that. But what I'm saying is, if that audio recording is substantiated and it is authenticated and verified to be accurate, that is definitely damaging. It definitely throws a crinkle in the alibi of the individuals who are saying that this is purely an accident. Again, I don't know if that video has been, that recording has been authenticated. I'm not sure, but hypothetically, it would be, in my opinion.
Yeah.
Let me say this: it would definitely cause the need for more investigation. Who was on the boat? Whose voices did we hear? What time did it take place? I established a timeline. If they left at 3 o'clock and they didn't get, or 4 o'clock, they had the issues at 4:31, I believe that's what it was, with the boat, and they didn't get back till 6 o'clock. When was that recording made? See, because if they got to the island at 10 o'clock in the morning, right, on July 4th, they got there at 10 o'clock in the morning, they arrived there at 11:14, they departed at 3 p.m., they last saw him. When was that made? Because now something's not added up. If you say the last time you saw him was 3 p.m., right, but somebody else said, well, did you kill him? I don't know. It seems like we need some more investigation, but I just don't know.
Let's say that ultimately no charges are filed. Mm-hmm. Let's say ultimately no charges are filed. Nobody going to jail.
Yeah.
Do you think that the public would view that as justice denied, or maybe just a case that couldn't be proven?
Oh, well, Willie D, somebody's getting sued. I can tell you that now. I'm looking at this case now from my perspective. And if you really just want to hear, because all of that aside,
you're looking at the money that the defense, well, not defense, but that Nolan Wells' family and lawyers are spending, and you saying there's got to be a return on that investment.
Yes, sir. And I think that's the story that nobody's hitting. See, the story is that and let me put this in position, because a lot of people give me a hard time. You're not a criminal defense lawyer. I know, absolutely not. But what I am is a hell of a personal injury lawyer, and I can read.
Hold on. What you are, and I should have led with this. What you are is a Hall of Famer lawyer. You are a Southern University Law School Hall of Famer. Walk into the law school at Southern University, and voila, my boy picture right there among the rest of the greats. That's a huge honor, man.
Man, thank you. And shout out to the Southern University Law Center. Out of the thousands of graduates that they have, to nominate me, and appoint me. And it was great, man. It was in 2024 it was just amazing. And my family was there, my wife was there, and it's just like my peers were there, and one of the attorney general came, U.S. attorney general came, one of the district attorney came, and it was just a big honor, but anyway, enough of that, man. Let's get back to this money. So here's what I'm looking at. I know some people that know Ben Crump. A good friend of mine is good friends with Ben Crump, and he bills himself as a civil rights attorney, but when you look at civil rights, that falls under personal injury. You see what I mean? And I know myself well enough to know that you're not going to spend anywhere from $10,000 to $30,000 on a case that you're not going to get a return on. That's just too much money. And so now let's throw some factors out there. What else do we know about this boat trip? What we know about this boat trip is, number one, it happened on the 4th of July in Mississippi on open water. There were young men and young women, a lot of them under the age of, here's the key number, 21. And we know that in order to drink or consume alcohol in the United States, you have to be over the age of 21. Now, what else do we know? We know that there was only one way on to that island, and that is through a boat ride. And we also know that there's indications that there was alcohol involved in that, okay? So what is the first thing we know about alcohol consumption? Anybody drinking alcohol, the first thing it does is impair your judgment. Yeah. So now you got an underage person who didn't buy the alcohol himself, I'm assuming, okay? We don't know that for sure. But let's say they didn't buy the alcohol themselves. The alcohol was provided by somebody who either owned the boat or was a captain of the boat, and they saw them drinking. And let's just assume, worst case scenario, that the operator of the boat was also drinking. So now you gotta, and I'm just putting this fact pattern together, and these are the facts that we're looking at. You got a drunk boat captain driver. You got people who provided these people alcohol, all of which are underage. And now the question pops up is, how did this young boy end up dead? Clearly, we have bad judgment involved. And the question we have to ask ourselves is, does alcohol consumption of underage people lead to bad judgment and poor decision making? Okay, so now that all goes back to, well, who gave them the alcohol? And was there a proper head count done when they left the island? And why would you leave somebody on the island and there's only one way off the island? There's a lot of questions that need to be asked. So you're looking at potential federal maritime law violations. You look at Mississippi State Court law violations, and the questions that I have to ask, and the question that Ben Crump is asking is, who's at fault for this? Because if we talking about a boat, then we talking about an insurance policy. And typically people who own boats have money. So you're looking at not just a multi-million-dollar judgment, but you're looking at holding somebody responsible for wanton reckless disregard for the safety of others, which may mean punitive damages. So this is what I'm looking at. And this is the first thing that I saw. Now, again, let me say something that's going to sound cruel. It's going to sound heartless. Okay. And I don't want to offend anybody, but I have to speak to people like, I'm be honest with you. Okay. If I'm a plaintiff lawyer, I don't want this to be a murder case, because there ain't no money in murder. Murder is an intentional act. I want there to be negligence. I want there to be gross negligence, because insurance companies are responsible for the gross negligence, and they're responsible for the negligence of their insured. They are not responsible for the intentional acts of others, because if this was an intentional unalivement or killing of the person of another, there's a policy provision that says we're not responsible for that, so you can't hold them responsible for that. They literally would point to the empty chair of the person who gets convicted. So if I'm if I'm Ben Crump and I'm the family, I'm praying to God that this grand jury comes back and says they no bill the case, So then we can go after we can get what they've done, and we can go after the people who took him over there in that boat, served him alcohol, participated in that alcohol, and left him on that island by himself. That's what I'm looking for. I know it sounds cruel, and I apologize for how it sounds, but this is why you bring me on the broadcast. This, to me, when you start sending out spoilage letters saying we want you to preserve all the text message, all the video footage, all the recording, that means you're building a civil case. And the last thing you want to do is get held up in a criminal proceeding because you take 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 years before you get a conviction. And so anytime you're trying to get information from the Mississippi authorities, they're going to say something like, oh, well, we have a law enforcement privilege. We're not going to honor your subpoena right now. You got to wait till we finish. So now you file a lawsuit and you're just stuck in limbo until they finish the criminal investigation. They want to make sure this thing goes forward. Look, man, the young brother's dead. Okay, he's already dead. Okay, I'm telling you, man, I'm in the pain business. I'm in the death business. I've handled 4 or 5 wrongful death cases over the past 4 or 5 years. It takes a toll on you, but this is the reality of it. There's no money in murder. There's money in negligence. If he died because somebody negligently got him, left him in a situation where he couldn't make a good decision, he ended up on an island somewhere and he died. The question is, was there a proper count before they left? Was the captain drunk? Did you know where he was? Who was with him? Who saw him? Who's responsible? Who has some money? And that
is why I could not be a civil attorney like that. Because I couldn't do that. Like, for me, I ain't even that smart to get the money. I'm not that smart. I just be like, I want whoever killed him. I don't give a damn. If there's some financial justice that's attached to that, fine, we'll go after that. But first and foremost, I want this uncivilized mutt who is responsible for the death of my loved one. That's what I want first and foremost. So whatever justice looks like, that's what I want. If justice is negligence, then give me that, and then we get more money. But if justice is getting this uncivilized mutt who killed my loved one, I'm not letting that fucker walk. I'm getting his ass. I gotta get him. I gotta have that, man. I gotta get it. And if I don't get a penny after that, man, but you know how good I would sleep, man. I'm cool, bro. Because at some point, the way I see it, man, how much money do you need to be able to maintain your integrity? How much money? Well, how much does integrity cost? I'm not finna do that. I'm not finna sit back and say, well, we know he murdered him, but if we can prove negligence, I'd rather prove negligence and let him slide on the murder because we're gonna make a whole lot more money if negligence is involved. See, I'm not that smart. I just wouldn't. I couldn't do that. I'd have to. I want his head. Whoever is responsible for killing my loved one, I want him. I want him, and I'm coming to get him, man. And I'm gonna use everything that I got to get him.
Well, how do you know Nolan Wells isn't responsible for his own death?
I don't know, and that's why we want. That's why we want that autopsy. But if I find out that he is, then he is. That's what it is. But what I'm saying is, if the truth carries me in the direction of murder, then that's what I want. You see, and you said something before you cut in. You said something about what we know on the boat that happened. What we do know. One of the things that you probably just you overlooked was the fact that they called for a tow. They called for a tow, and they were in distress. They sound panic, and next thing you know, they cancel the tow. What's that about? If you're, let's say if you're on the side of Nolan Wells, how do you grill somebody, about that part right there? How do you question a witness that was on that boat? The caller specifically, I think the caller was Wyatt. I believe the name of the caller was Wyatt.
Okay. So if you're asking me if I'm on the side of Nolan Wells, Are you asking me if I'm the plaintiff attorney trying to prove that he died because of somebody's negligence, or am I the prosecutor trying to get justice for this dead man who was?
You're the prosecutor trying to get justice. You're the prosecutor trying to get justice, and you got a situation where how do you exploit that piece where he called and he said, "Yo, we're on the, I think he said west tip of Horn. We need a tow," and he was able to give them all of the information that they needed. He was able to give them the coordinate information that they needed, and next thing you know, you can hear people in the background, they're panicking. You also heard somebody say, "Is he dead?" Oh my God. You heard that on the unenhanced audio. That was heard. Now, so how do you, as a prosecutor, cross-examine the witness who was the caller? If that caller, I think his name is Wyatt, turns out to be a witness, how do you cross-examine it?
Well, let me say what typically happens is the investigator is already going to have asked a lot of questions of these witnesses before they put them up on the stand. So if I'm the investigator, before we even get to trial, I'm going to ask in the background, what time did that happen? The basic question: who else was with you? Who were you speaking to? When you and we're taking the recording as true. We don't know it to be true. This is just something we heard on the internet. But who were you referring to when you said, who was that person referring to when they said, "Did you kill him?" And just a whole slew of baseline questions like that.
I just want to get to the cutoff. I just want to get to the part where you got a tow, you're in distress, you got an SOS, and next thing you know, you're cool.
Why'd you cut the call off? Right? Why my lawyer?
Why did you cancel the tow?
Yeah.
If you're sinking, now all of a sudden you're not sinking. What boat? Yeah. I've never heard of a boat sinking, and all of a sudden it wasn't sinking.
Well, that is going to be a question that needs to be first asked of other people and then confirmed, and then you get the witness to tell you what their version is, and then you'll be able to determine whether or not that person has credibility. Because if we're talking about a bilge issue, in other words, the pump that pumps the water out of the boat, if I just ask this person, they may say, "Well, the captain told me it was fine. Maybe they fixed the bilge. Maybe they were able to get the pump working again. I don't know." But you want to eliminate all the other potential reasons of why it happened and try to figure out who's lying. Now, at some point, what I've learned dealing with a lot of prosecutors is that they'll just start indicting people and getting people to start confessing. And typically the first one that shows up gets the best deal. That's not always guaranteed, but they'll indict 2 or 3 people when they have enough information. And the first one that comes in with their lawyer said, "Look, we want to make a deal, XYZ, we'll tell you everything." But that's not guaranteed to happen. I don't even know if any of these people are found criminally liable. We have to see if you don't need a grand jury to indict anybody before you can arrest them. Clearly, you can be arrested before the indictment, before the charge, and you'd be held on suspicion. I don't know. I don't know what's happening. I would like to. I know that having the report, the autopsy report, will be helpful. I'm not sure, but again, I'm going to go back to my gut feeling is telling me that this is a civil case. My gut feeling is telling me that Ben Crump and the parents, and Ben Crump is, we know him. He's dealt with death before a lot. He's dealt with the people up in Ferguson, and he knows how to talk to people. Hey, look, might as well get something good to come from this.
But so you know what, you're absolutely right that Ben Crump is, he is a civil attorney. He does know how to go get the bread. But I've never witnessed Ben Crump so involved in a criminal case, the criminal side of it. I've never seen him so dedicated to the criminal side of, because typically he just comes out and he makes the case, he brings a lot of attention to the case, the cameras follow Ben everywhere he goes. So if Ben Crump starts talking, you better believe somebody's gonna be recording. So Ben Crump, he's one of the best that does what he does. He is a person who can go out there and get you financial justice, right?
Mm-hmm.
But
He's a rainmaker. Yeah, he brings in the case. Go ahead. I'm sorry, brother.
But I've never seen him this heavily involved in the criminal side and speaking on that side of the case.
Mm-hmm.
So
and that is why I'm convinced that this is not a criminal case, because nobody spends $10,000 to $30,000 of their law firm's money on a criminal.
He didn't spend that money. He didn't spend that money on the autopsy. Colin Kaepernick did.
Okay, but then the transport from the body from DC from Mississippi to DC plus the autopsy, that's $15,000. Okay, so let's say you don't spend $10,000 on a criminal case. That's going to be on, if the family can't afford it, then that's something that the state needs to deal with. And so again, I'm going to go back to my position, and I hate to, and I'm just be honest with you, man. It seems to me it's a lot of people, and who come into these situations and they get the public involved. They purposely throw out a lot of misinformation. They get people emotionally involved, and that helps them drive up the settlement value of a case. I don't do that, but I'm just speaking honestly with you. It's a lot of people. If you can generate enough publicity about a situation, you can make something that's mundane and possibly trivial into a big deal. I mean,
isn't law enforcement doing the same thing?
I mean, we can
from day one. Hold on, day one. The sheriff, John Ledbetter, said we don't suspect foul play. He hadn't examined the body. He hadn't talked to any independent investigators or state investigators. He hadn't seen any pictures. He just said we don't suspect foul play, just like that.
I recall that, and I do think that was premature. He's probably been better because, and see that again, this is Mississippi. And I don't want anybody to think that Black people, when we hear things happen in Mississippi, we're not suspicious, because Mississippi there are kids born in 2002 who grew up in Mississippi with the Confederate flag. And so Mississippi has a horrible history. So for all the people who are saying Black people are overreacting, Black people are this, and you guys are just fighting into the conspiracy theory, blah, 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 blah. It's Mississippi. I get that. And when we hear about sheriffs in Mississippi and mayors in Mississippi, when we start talking about governors in Mississippi, I understand why Black people are upset. So in my humble opinion, that sheriff probably should have kept his mouth shut, because he didn't help the situation by totally just blowing off a young Black man who disappeared and then turned out dead under mysterious circumstance. He didn't help the situation. Sometimes silence is the better part of discretion. That said, okay, if we do find out that this has always been about a lawsuit and somebody trying to line their coffers, I think the public would be disappointed. And I'm just saying that I think the people of the public should set yourself up, because this is what it is. And you have to recognize that you're being used emotionally. People are being used, in my opinion, people are being used emotionally to drive up the value of what potentially is a settlement, a huge settlement in which the family will reap the benefit, driven by individuals who have a financial stake in this matter, who may not be related to Nolan Wells and may not even care about the young brother. I'm just be honest with you. That's how I feel, man.
Yeah, and that could be true, but even if it was true, the family deserves any justice that they can get. So I'm not mad if that is the case, because look, fam, if you look at what's going on in Mississippi and you look at what's going on around this country, every time a Black person is accused of murder, or even when a Black person dies, especially when a Black person dies, it don't matter if you're accused, if you are the accused or you are the victim. If you're Black, they are going to start a smear campaign against you. These people have no empathy, no compassion whatsoever. Is something going on? The blood is tainted. The bloodline is tainted. I'm talking about, this is a shoe fit wear scenario. So obviously I'm not talking about all white people, because I got some real cool ass white friends, for real. But I'm talking about the ones who the shoe fit. If the shoe fit, lace it up. And it's a lot of them in Mississippi. We got them here too in Texas. We got our share. We got our fair share in Texas. But this is just it's beyond unfortunate, man. This is a travesty that continues to happen over and over and over again, man. And I don't really see any let up, because it just doesn't appear to be, from my standpoint, any type of urgency to quell things like this from happening.
Well, Willie D, first of all, I would say that it's not just white people. It's also a lot of black people who are, in my opinion, just too far to the extreme. Anytime a black person is injured, they always jump to the side of opposite of whatever the black people are. So it's not just, and then you got white people who, no matter, they jump to the side of the black. I call them Negro whisperers. You know what I'm saying? White people who benefit from helping drive up the emotional response of black people by screaming racism. And then you got black people who jump to the side of the extreme white people by saying, oh, no, there's no racism. And I don't want to name names on your broadcast, but I don't like either one of those groups, because what it does is it causes difficulty for everybody on the ground. And when I say on the ground, I'm talking about regular Americans. We have to try to figure out how to get along in this country. We have finite space, we got finite land. We got to go to different stores together. We got to use the schools. Our children have to attend schools together. Yeah. We have to use the highways. We have to use the roads. And by ginning up all this racial animosity, and we don't even know the full story yet, it just creates unnecessary problems. We are Americans, and you and I, as Texas residents and citizens, we know everybody around here has a gun. You see what I mean? We know that people is hot right now in the summer. And, what we don't want to do is unnecessarily gin up racial discourse. And when you have agitators on one side and agitators on the other side, and again, I'm telling you, it's some notorious black people that it seems like every time black people are aggrieved, they automatically take the side of, oh, they deserve that. Oh, y'all are like this. It's like, dude, look in the mirror. You one of us. They don't like you either. But then on the flip side, you got white people, and I don't want to mention any of those names, but they automatically take the side of the side that seems to be advocating for black people, because they know black people want to hear that, because it's validated when it comes to the mouth of a white person. Oh yeah, see, she's saying the same thing we saying, must be racism. But at the end of the day, man, and I told you this before, man, racism in America is like weather. It's not going anywhere. It's always been here. It's always going to be here. You're not going to change anybody's strongly held beliefs, but some kind of way we figured out a way to get along. I mean, I'm sure here in Texas, you got some redneck friends, you got some hillbilly friends. You see what I'm saying? And on the flip side, I'm sure some white folk, they got some ignorant black friends. And at some point, we have to recognize that we're stuck with each other. And the last thing I want to do is participate in driving up the animosity, because see, let me tell you something, man. And I realize this, the people that are doing the talking ain't gonna be the ones doing the dying. They're not gonna be the ones doing the fight. And so it's incumbent upon me, or man, or the killer. They're not gonna do it. You see what I mean? And so my thing is, man, I would like to try to wait to get all the facts in. And again, I don't like the fact that there are individuals out there who will drum up the animosity just so they could try to drive up a settlement price. You understand what I'm saying? I recognize the game. As you said before, I'm a Hall of Fame attorney. I've seen it all. You understand what I'm saying? But I operated in a more ethical fashion. I don't make things, hell, I don't even call my clients when they're going through medical treatment. I say, look, you talk to the doctor about that. I'm not trying to make this more than what it is. I would never go on TV to drive up racial animosity just for the point of trying to get a settlement. I'm not going to do that. But again, I'm just speculating, and my hope is that when this is all said and done, whatever the outcome, you recognize that black people have a right to be suspicious of what goes on in Mississippi amongst governmental entities. There's good reason to believe there's a conspiracy. And on the flip side, we have to recognize that some of this conspiracy stuff is just gone too far, and people are just trying to drive division, because division sells, animosity sells, rage sells, victimhood sells. And I get it. That's the game, you know? But that's it, brother. I don't want to go too deep. I don't want to piss too many people off.
Well, I appreciate you coming on the show. I think you've already achieved that. I think you're already to piss them off, boy. It's a little bit too late for that.
Shit, man.
But I do appreciate you coming on the show, and I appreciate your honesty, man.
Yeah.
And you're gonna speak your mind every single time, and you know, at the risk of being, invoking anger from time to time, right?
Yeah.
But that, I mean, that's the game, though. That's what you signed up for. So you know, I know you ain't tripping. You thrive in things of that nature.
Hey man, look, let me tell you, like I told you, man, Willie D, you the voice of the people, man. You the voice of the people. You speak from how the people feel. You know, you are doing a yeoman's job, a great job at expressing to the world, this is how the regular people feel. I'm on the other hand, I'm the establishment. You see what I'm saying? I'm coming in here, calm down. Let's let the investigation be finished and completed. We want to get all the facts in. And I get that. But see, the great thing about our conversations is it shows balance. The other thing is, Willie D, and I'm going to put you out there. Willie D is probably the richest man all of y'all know. Everybody watching. Willie D is rich, known around the world. He's popular, more popular than any of you all ever going to be. So he himself is an established, he is himself a company. He is big business when you look at Willie D. The fact that this man has come on YouTube and blown this game up, he is big business. On the flip side, yeah, I might be a representative of the establishment and the status quo, but I'm also a Black father with 3 children. And I'm also from the hood, so I know how things are. So it's like the yin and the yang. When you and I talk, we can relate on things, but then we may differ. And you a Hall of Fame rapper, entertainer, movie, TV mogul, entertainer, and I'm a Hall of Fame attorney. You see what I'm saying? So when we come together, we can actually find common ground and come to a consensus, and we do so in a very respectful and gentleman-like way, even though we both passionate. So I appreciate you having me here, brother. And again, for you all who are angry, whether you angry at me or Willie D, we speaking the truth, and we speaking from our heart. We just speaking from the perspective that needs to be had. And like I said earlier, we may find out Nolan Wells was the reason he calls his, we might find out he was the reason for his death. The jury might determine that, hey, he was the one drinking. He's the one that stayed himself on that island trying to talk to that girl. He was the one who left his phone in the boat because, they didn't want to take their phones in the water. And it's his fault. How you gonna blame this boat captain? The boat captain didn't make him drink it. He didn't make him drink. He had a choice. It's an 18-year-old man, and the jury might say you get nothing. Okay, are we gonna be able to deal with that? Are we gonna be able to deal with the fact that maybe he got drunk and decided he was gonna go hang out in the ocean with nobody around, and he got caught in a riptide and died? We don't know. We don't know. Are y'all willing to deal with that? I know, be mad. I want them to be mad. Get mad.
Listen, man. Listen. I think that is not just a stretch, but I think that is a stretch Armstrong, brother. And look, and I'll say this that I don't think that is going to be the case. I do think the whole drinking and the getting high stuff is just a smear campaign. But and at the end of the day, even if he did, I don't think that has anything to do with what actually happened. Like, this still doesn't explain what happened, and that's what the family want to know. The family want to know what happened. The family wants to know what happened. And back to you made a point about not liking either side that tries to drum up attention for whatever reason, right? I'm gonna tell you something straight up, bro. I'm never gonna turn down an advocate of mine. If somebody advocating on my behalf, I'm never gonna turn that down. I don't care. I don't even care what their intentions are. I'm not the dude that's gonna go like, yeah, the only reason why you advocating for me is because you want me to introduce you to such. Man, I don't give a damn what your reasons are. I need all the help. I'm taking all the help I can get. So white folks who want to advocate for Nolan Wells, I don't care what your reasoning is behind it. If you advocating for Nolan Wells, I'm riding with you. I respect it. Hey man, I respect that way more than some of these coconuts out here that are advocating against Nolan Ryan. I mean, not say Nolan Ryan. I knew I was going to say that. For those of you who don't know, Nolan Ryan is another Hall of Famer, Texan. Yeah. He was a Texan, but Nolan Ryan, baseball Hall of Fame dude. You know, I think he had like 5 no-hitters or something like that, 5 or 6 no-hitters. Nolan Ryan was a big deal, but we're talking about Nolan Wells and the pursuit of justice. And hey, one way or another, I think that the truth is going to come out. Now, will it be respected once it comes out? That's anybody's guess. But I appreciate my guest tonight.
Don't be trying to get rid of me now.
Go ahead. You got. Go ahead. I'll let you have your word.
Hey, man, look, here's the thing, man. Like, okay, if you got a bunch of white folk who know that they're gassing black people up and getting them to get an emotional response, and they know that they don't even believe the words that's coming out of their mouth, they know that they're full of stuff. I don't know if I want that type of advocate, because those are the type of people that put gasoline on a campfire and make things worse. Again, like my whole point is this, brother. If you don't recognize these folk making things worse, and then it gets worse, and then we have to deal with the fallout, that's the bad. It's no different than when you got these black folk on the other side who say, oh no, black people this, and we're ultra right-wing conservative, blah, blah. We just don't like get out of it. That's a clown.
Okay, so you have you've been a trial attorney and you litigate. Yeah. So let's say so you trying to tell me when you walk into that courtroom and you got a jury right there to your right, and you trying to tell me that you trying to tell me that you're not trying to use every argument that you can think of to make sure that your client get the results that he wants and that you want. You're saying to me that you don't have an ulterior motive. You're saying that you're only going to speak the language that is supposed to be consistent with being honest and forthcoming and transparent. You're gonna be like that with the jury.
See, here you go, Willie. Willie, what you trying to say, Willie, is that, hey, if you got a jury and they 100% on your side, I know darn well, Dennis Spurling, you want those juries to be on that panel so they can rule in favor of your client. Yes, that's me being an advocate on behalf of my client. But here in the court of public opinion, because we have to live in this society, number one, there's rules and regulations as to what a lawyer can and can't say in court anyway. I can't say, hey, if y'all make sure y'all vote for my client, I need $1 million. I can't say that. There's rules against that. It's heavily regulated how we voir dire and opening statement and closing statement, etc. But in the court of public opinion, when we have people getting shot at the Walmart over parking spaces and everybody talk about racism, everybody think everybody racist, and so on and so forth, we have to conduct ourselves in a civilized manner. And I know what you're going to say already. I'm going to let you say it in a minute. But if we want to live in a civilized society, if we want our children to be safe, we want our women, we want to be safe as men and not have to always look over our shoulder because this person thinks, I think he's racist and he's got his defenses up, then what we have to do, man, is begin to put some water on this fire. Because as I said before, man, it seems like racism is the national pastime in America. We've been playing it since the first. We talk about baseball and apple pie, but that's all we do. We don't stop denying it. It exists. All the white folk, black folk, Hispanic folk, Asian folk, everybody picks a side when they come here. But see, it just keeps generating up problems. A lot of the issues that we have associated is because people who don't even know each other. You got people in Utah, ain't got one black friend, and for whatever reason, black people are responsible for all their issues. You got other black folk who they don't even hang around white people. The white man is keeping me down. No, you smoking weed and drinking and sitting on the couch all day is keeping you from going to your job. That's what it is. So I'm just saying we have to try to find some sort of middle ground. And when we see cases like this with Nolan Wells, It's easily exploitable. It's Mississippi. Mississippi been killing black folks since 1492, probably. You see what I'm saying? And black boys and black men and women been coming up missing in Mississippi for, so it's easy to say, hey, Mississippi's at it again. Black people, go ahead and get angry. Let's go ahead and get y'all raging so we can turn on the clicks and likes and views. I get
it's
it.
It's easy to say, Dennis, because they never changed. We have not seen any substantial change. See, we haven't seen that. We haven't seen that in Mississippi. If we had seen that, then people wouldn't be as suspicious. It's just like when it comes to racism right now, you hear people say, man, well, that happened, slavery happened way back in the such and such. Yeah, but you still benefiting from the remnants of slavery. See, you're still benefiting, and it's not that we're focused on the past, but you keep bringing the past to the present, because right now you still have people who accost people who don't look like them in their own neighborhood because they don't look like them. Like, hey, what are you doing here? What are you doing around here? Self-deputizing for the sake of trying to control black bodies. So the reason why we talk about racism on a daily basis is because it's happening on a daily basis. Black folks, I do not believe in general is waking up doing this. Where's racism? I ain't seen no goddamn racism all day. Where is it? I'm looking for the racism. Man, we need a goddamn break. We need a break. We want a break from it. Man, if we can get one day, I think that'll be a start. If we can just get one damn day, that would be a good start.
I mean, Willie, you got a point, man. I give you that point. I agree. I agree with you 100%. And you know, there are people who they're stuck in their prejudiced, bigoted ways. I get that. I get that. And that's not going anywhere. I'm saying is, let's not find it where it doesn't exist. Let's not make it worse when we don't have to. That's it. And when we see something like this Nolan Wells case, and it's a ticking time bomb, you know, I think that the cooler mind should prevail. We should wait, see exactly what happened, because we may find out, you know, this young man had an unfortunate accident and died. He won't be the first young man that died because of alcohol consumption or some alcohol-related poor decision. Or we may find out that there was something unscrupulous that happened. We just don't know. I'm just saying, let's wait to know before we respond, because at some point, if we just keep responding each and every time, you get all these false alarms, and people are going to be tired. They're going to be tired of it. And then when something really happens, when something really gets happened, we won't have the energy to do it. And that's the whole notion of the boy that cried wolf. When you got white folks on one side gassing black people up to be racist, alleging that this is racism, I don't see that as being an advocate. On the flip side, when you got black people on the other side gassing up the racist white people saying, see, y'all are right, they're all like that, that's a problem too. And I think we just should try to meet in the middle. I think level heads should prevail. And I think we should wait and see what's going on. Now, I know there's a lot of people saying, well, you wouldn't say that it was your son. Maybe I wouldn't, but it's not my son. It's not my case. You see what I'm saying? I'm not in jury. I'm just sitting here as a Texan, as an American citizen, saying, hey, I have to sit back because I'm not emotionally involved in this. I have to sit back and say, hey, what's in the best interest of all of us? And that's all I'm doing right now, Brother Willie.
Okay. All right. I'm gonna let you have it, man. I'll let you have the last word. Ladies and gentlemen, Attorney Dennis Spurling. Yay.
I'm out. Thanks, Willie.